All right. Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of YOML, Year of Extra Learning. Today I'm on in a new scenery because my power went out, but we continue, you know, uh to do the thing that we do every single day, live our core values, and here we are again. So today we're on episode 106, and the book was what was it again, Chris?
It's On the Road by Jack Kerouac.
On the road, but yes, and on the road and on with the show we go.
Yeah,
Okay, Chris,
yeah.
take it away.
Come hell or high water, we'll keep rolling. So this is book 106, and the book is On the Road by Jack Kerouac. It's a 1957 novel by the writer Jack Kerouac. It was inspired by his personal adventures with one of his friends, and tells the story of two friends that set out on a cross country road trip on a quest for meaning and true experience. So it's considered, I'm just reading the description, it's considered to be a defining work of the beat countercultural generation. So it's kind of like the catalyst of the beat movement. You ever heard of a beatnik before? I think we talked about this before, but
Right.
Yeah, so like the beatniks, was about jazz and poetry and drug use, and some of the key figures of the beatnik generation were like Dean Moriarty and Carlo Marx and Jack Kerouac and people like that. So anyway, so this book is kind of like the book, that really launched the beat generation, and this was Jack Kerouac's most famous book. So with that said, I'm going to share my screen and we'll talk about the reflection. So the reflection title for this one is "Don't Start Your Quest Until You Have a Compass." So here's the thing. So a few months ago, we did a book 67, which was Big Sur by Jack Kerouac. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, right.
So that reflection was like, basically, I basically said like, this dude is sad. I'd heard the name Jack Kerouac, and I came across the book, and I was like, I guess I don't know what he's popular for, but I know the name, so I was like, I'll check it out. So I check out Big Sur, and this is just a quick recap of that reflection where I'm like, man, this guy's life sucks. I was like, this is depressing. Like, I feel bad for him. I was like, this guy's miserable. He's a drunk. He's hates his life. Like, he's just lost. Like, I'm like, and this is him when he was in his early 40s or something like that. And a lot of Jack's works are, I think, they're not autobiographical, but they're like based on his life. I mean, he's writing about himself, whether he uses his real name or not, or whatever, but they're about his life,
Right.
And I was like, man, this guy sucks. I was like, this writing, this book sucked. Like, I was like, this wasn't even that good. I was like, why is this guy so famous? So after I finished that book, I started to research a lot more about Jack Kerouac, and I was like, well, what's the deal? It's like I saw Michael Jordan when he was playing with the Washington Wizards, I felt like, or something like that. Like, yeah, he was all right, but like, this dude sucks. Like, he's old, he's out of shape, whatever it may be. He's not Michael Jordan, so I was like, why is this guy Jack Kerouac? Like, why do I even know his name to even want to go read a book? So what I discovered was when I was researching him, that he was this guy that started the beatnik generation, the beat generation, and the subsequent beatniks after him. He was like one of the key figures with the writing that he did, and this book in particular was like the book that really like launched that generation out there. So I thought, hey, look, if this is the height of this guy's career, like, I'll give him another chance. I was like, there's got to be something I'm missing here. So that's why I picked up this book, and I was like, we'll see what happens, right? Because if you remember, right, the last reflection for Big Sur was like, what happens when your quest doesn't find a purpose, or something along those lines.
Right.
You're right, because he was just questing for too long, and he had nothing came of it, and he was just stuck in this rut. So I read this book, and as I'm reading On the Road again, I kind of get it a little bit more. It's these young 20-somethings that are full of energy in life and ready to explore the world. They have an idea. They have some questions about life, and they're willing to go find the meaning, challenge the status quo. Adventure, excitement, and never knowing what's coming next. Like, and I kind of get, I didn't really like the writing because the writing style, he's really fast and he's like kind of, you know, I don't know. It's hard to describe the writing, but but either way, I get it. Like I could at least understand the appeal as to why this would appeal to somebody. It was exciting. It was people that were, you know, bucking the trend, and they were like, look, I see things differently, and I'm gonna go explore the hell out of this. You know, I don't care if, you know, my parents don't like it. I don't care if the society doesn't value this. This is what we're gonna do, and this is how we want to live, and this is what we want to go explore. So I understand now where that at least came from, and I can kind of see where that would be of value. However, this goes back to the whole conversation with Big Sur. You know, questing is a delicate thing, right? Like when you're on a quest, it's like a double-edged sword. You know, it's always fun and exciting in the beginning because you don't know where you're going, and you're asking new questions, and you're letting the road take you to wherever it takes you, and nobody knows where they're going. You know, to be fair, like, you know, but the problem with questing is, though, like, it's a double-edged, I say it's a double-edged sword because of, like, if there's no direction at all, like, I mean, you could easily just be chasing your tail all over the place and, you know, round and round around the drain, if you will, and end up like Jack Kerouac and Big Sur, like, you know, where
Right.
you're 40 years into it and you're still, you know, doing the same thing. Like, the whole point of questing is to do what they did at the beginning of On the Road. You know, it's to ask the questions, it's to go experience the world, it's to go find answers, it's to go, you know, try new things, right? Like, but if you don't find it, then it could be bad. Like, you know, like, if you're gonna jump off the if you're gonna go the countercultural way, like, you better have some end game here, or you better at least have some compass, is what I like to say, to guide your path, right? So that's the big lesson that I feel like that I learned from this book is, don't do what Jack Kerouac did, where you just start your journey and get on the road again and keep and drive and figure it out, right? Like, that sounds exciting in theory. If you're gonna do this kind of thing and you're gonna quest, you always got to start with your compass, and your compass needs to be your values. So that way, when you start to feel like you're getting a little lost and you don't know which way to go or whatever, you can always go back and look at your values and go, does this align? You and I were just doing this, talking about a job before this conversation, where we're talking about, like, does this align to this quest that you and I are on together, of Clubany, of Living for Two, of all the other stuff that's important to me, is important to you, and I could easily go, I could just go where the wind takes me, you know, and you know, see where it comes up. But, like, that's why you have a compass, because that compass will keep you going towards your purpose, and at least finding that purpose someday and staying aligned with that purpose, or it won't. So, like, if you're gonna go on a quest, make sure you always start with a compass. That's the lesson for the day. So the question is what are your core values that you use to illuminate your path going forward, for somebody to think about? But I'll pause there. I'd love to get your thoughts.
Yeah, so I have to agree. I mean, I can't disagree with that because for me, um, when I do anything, if it aligns with my value, it for whatever reason and however it works, it gives me energy. It gives me fuel to go to the next step. It gives me the I don't know what you call it, like the I don't know, inner energy or whatever you want to call it,
Right.
to endure any kind of hardship, any kind of, because I can endure it easily. I
Right.
mean, if I would go do something because it aligns with my value, because is that what I need to fulfill, then I don't mind the heat, I don't mind the cold, I don't mind the fasting, for example. You know,
Right.
like, for me, health is important, right? I don't mind the fasting. I don't mind the once a day diet or whatever. And for me, it's worth, because we talked about this the other day. It's like, when you have I guess a value that it's a fulfillment for you, right? That value, it is so large compared to the effort you pay for. We're talking about, hey, if I were to be in a desert and I am very thirsty, right? Somebody say, hey, I have a glass of water, but I want, you know, $100,000, right?
Right.
The glass of water is still higher in terms of value than my $100,000 of cash or gold or whatever machinery, whatever I can trade for. I would trade for it. And to me, that kind of gives me the image of when your value aligns, right? The outcome or the thing that you get out of it, it is going to be so huge. It's going to be 100x compared to the other thing. You can say, well, I'm price sensitive because if somebody offer me something cheaper, then I'll take it. But in reality, a lot of times, if you have something that is a perfect fit for you, and because you are unique, the solution or the things that you value also be unique. Therefore, there's no substitute. So until you understand your value, i.e., you know your core value, where your compass can tell you what those are. Until then, the things that you see in life are basically a general effort, a general benefit. And when you don't see the details of the benefit, then you take these things as commodity and you compare them. You say, well, a glass of water, why would I pay $100,000 for a glass of water, right? Because to you don't see the fitment, right? The fitting to the thing you need.
Right.
So for me, like a compass is truly powerful because if you have a compass that can always point to your core values, it doesn't matter what you do, you're gonna have a more fulfilled life than the other people who doesn't.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it reminds me, it's also about when you want to go fast somewhere, make sure you get on the right bus first before you go and get on the gas pedal and just run in the wrong direction, right?
Yeah.
And in the world, right? How many wrong directions versus how many right directions?
They're all wrong. I mean, well, so they're not all wrong directions. They're all wrong directions if you have no idea, how you want to travel, right? Like, so I think about like this book is like it's a pretty big symbol, right? Like you just get on the road and you start going, right? That your quest never ends, right? Like the quest is always your entire life is your quest, right?
Right.
The problem with
but are you collecting the data points that it's going to aligns with the core values and effort that you're looking for? Because you can collect anything, but to you it's junk, right? It's just junk. Whatever you collect along the way, along your journey, it's junk. It's not something that you say, well, I could use this, I like it, right? Well, you can just go randomly and you can pick up stuff, but it's all useless to you. It's all non, attached to you. You're not attached to any of them, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like I have to agree with you. You have to have a compass first. You have to know where you're going, and you have to know what are the things is going to, I guess, make the compass point to that direction.
Right. You just have no idea how to gauge. You're never going to know if you're going in the right direction or not. I mean, like you're never going to, like, you might have an idea of where you want to go, but like the truth is like I always love the saying that I heard along this journey, along my own quest, I guess, of I don't know where I'm going, but I know how I'll get there, right? Like that's the compass, right? I know how I will get there. Like I know like how when I get to a fork in the road or whatever, I know which direction to go because I know what to leverage at that point in time. I can't control the forks that I hit along the way. And that's the problem that Jack Kerouac is, in my opinion. Like he just went and he was like, we're gonna go this way, then we're gonna go that way, then we're gonna go this way, then we're gonna go that way. And all of a sudden he just found out he was in the same spot, the whole entire time, and he never went anywhere. But I mean, when you start a quest, it's freaking scary, right? Like, I mean, it's really scary. Like, to get rid of the comforts
of it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
It should. I mean, when you break from your when you break the paradigm of everything that you've known in your life, and you begin a quest down a new path, like that's scary. Like, I mean, it doesn't have to be, but it is scary. Like
exactly. That's my point. Is that it can be scary,
right?
But it doesn't have to be scary. That's my point. Is you
have
options.
Right.
You have options, right? It
exactly.
can be scary. I'm not saying it's not scary, and I never said that. I said it didn't have to be, right? And it's the same thing I'm saying. Is like if you understand what it is you're looking for, what it is that you are have what your callings are, then when you set out, you have the tools you need to make this thing less scary. I mean, it just like I said, it doesn't have to be scary. It
Right.
could be scary, right? And no one's going to deny that it isn't. But the point is that if you prepare, if you know, if you have a compass, if you have tools, you have the things in your tool belt, then you can go on this quest with
Forever.
more confidence.
And then it's so
And you can
fun. Like the
go,
quest is so fun when you have confidence and you have an idea and you have a compass and you have a purpose, an end destination that you're trying to get to. You know, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know where I'm going, but I know how I'll get there, and I know how I don't know where that end leads at the end of the day, but I guess happiness. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is, you're right. Like it could be exhilarating and fun and exciting, and the quest should be that. Like, I mean, that's what the quest should be. Amazing. Like it shouldn't be scary.
right.
It should be amazing, and it can be. It's just when you do something like what Jack did, and you spend your whole entire life running around in circles, rudderless, then you end up. I mean, he died when he was in his late 40s or something like that of alcoholism. I mean, like that's sad. I mean, like that's really sad. You know, I mean,
It's very depressing.
yeah, the people that are so full of life and ready to go tackle the world and try new things and ask the big questions, you know, and to put themselves out there and to explore the world and to do what we're supposed to do as humans, you know, like, but
Yeah, it's exhausting.
you're I think I just lost your audio. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So it exhausted him because, like I said, when you doing something, but it doesn't align with your core values, with the things that you want as your calling, you don't have that energy to invest back in. Like I
It's
say,
willpower.
whatever I did because it aligns with core values, I can endure any kind of hardship. What was it that uh the the what was it saying again, Chris? It says something about if a man can endure any
Oh,
a man can
man
endure
can
any
overcome any how as long as he has a why or something like that. Yeah. If he has
exactly.
why. Yeah.
That's my point is when you have that, right? Then that's the energy that continue to recycle and continue to push forward, and it's actually spiral up to you actually gain more energy as you explore, as you do your quest.
Right.
But on the other hand, right, when you spend the energy, but then when you get in something that's not aligned with your core value, the thing you accumulated becomes useless, and that drains energy more and more. So the people who started quest when they were younger, right, they have all this energy, but eventually they get to the point where they get much more in age, then they become exhausted and they die of depressions and basically they're trying to numb themselves to the fact of all these like endurance that they could not take. You know what I mean? So
Right.
they drown themselves in alcohol, in drugs, whatever, to get them a sense of boost. And that's to me is a lot of the question. And we talk about this before. Everybody gonna quest, whether you know or not. You always gonna be questing for something or not. That's what life is, right?
Right.
Life is about finding the next step. And for me, do you know how people quest, which is like live life without how do they compensate for the scariness of questing or living life? You know how to do that?
Yeah, actually, you made me think of an interesting question off of that. That I would throw out there is, what would you rather have this be your life? You never start a quest. You start a quest, but you have no compass, or you're on your quest. You have a compass, you have a purpose. Obviously, that's what we're trying to go for. We're
Right.
meaningful work, meaningful relationships. Obviously, we all know what you and I want. But if you had to pick between those other two, of never starting your quest, so just going life status quo, you may not be unhappy. You may not be
You don't
sad.
know. You
You may
don't
not.
exist. No. If you don't have a quest, you're gonna be the saddest person ever. So imagine yourself sitting in a room doing nothing. How long can you last?
I mean, am
I
I by
don't care.
myself? Am I by
I don't
myself?
care. I don't care who. Yeah, by yourself.
Oh,
I
I
don't
mean,
care who
yeah,
you are. So to me, questing is not something that you choose not to, right? Questing is life. Life you have to quest because that is the aspect. That is the essence of life, right?
it is. I agree.
Questing is exploring, finding things that is fit for you. So when you were born onto this earth, you are questing.
Right.
If you stop questing, you will die. Just
I
like,
agree.
I don't care who you are. Like we talked about this before. Like, in prison, when you do something really, really, really
Right.
terrible and horrible, they put you in isolation.
Right.
I mean, they put you in isolation like for 3 days, and then the guy come out change just
Yeah.
because he's isolation. People, humanity cannot stay in isolations, and so for me, you have to quest. So the only two options you have is you quest random on a random chance, or
Right.
you quest with a purpose, with a compass, right?
Agreed.
And so to answer the question I asked you is, how do people are using, how do people um cope with questing and be less scared?
I mean, that's easy. I mean, it's like it's you have to have a purpose and a why behind
No,
it.
no,
Like, I
no.
mean, yeah.
How do no, they don't do that right now. I'm asking you how to do it right now, today.
Oh, you
How
mean
to do this,
if they're on a quest, like how can you?
which is life,
Right.
right? Which is, we know everybody's on a quest.
Right.
So so the option is they do what we're asking them to do, which is find your purpose, get your tools, get your
Right.
compass, right, and go. And there's another method which is people are doing today.
I
That
don't know.
method is social proof.
Yeah.
They just follow whatever other people are doing it. So they
Makes
have
sense.
to they right. And we have been using that concept of social proof to validate some of these things for millions of years.
Right.
We have that tendency. Social proof is a
So
very, very powerful
somebody else did a quest.
psychological.
It resulted in something good. We all say, "Oh, that was good," so we should try that. Like, is what you're kind of saying.
Random,
Right.
random.
Right.
Yes. So what happened is random, right? So let's say Jack Kerouac aimlessly wandered the wood, right? And 1 in a million or billion chance,
He
one of these Jack Kerouac will find
discovered
a,
Buddhism.
a Buddhism,
Yeah.
and then they pass on, and then eventually enough people do follow the Jack Kerouac way,
Right.
the one that works, right? So in a million parallel universe of
Right.
Jack Kerouac, one of them, one of the timeline hit something, right? And then more people will start follow, and then when they follow to a certain extent, right, maybe 10, 15, 18%, like the book Malcolm Gladwell, right?
Yeah.
It's a
Tipping
tipping
point.
point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
18%, it starts tipping, and everybody starts to follow, right?
Right.
So it's the social proof. Like when you look at social proof, everything is about social proof. Like the brand, you know, the trust, the word of mouth, everything is about social proof.
Right.
You did it, I did it too, right? It's the same thing. It's how people used to cope with, kind of like be out there. The people don't actually do these by themselves, with exception with a very rare small percentage of people who are quote unquote like the pioneers and the leaders that actually go and do the oddball thing like Jack
Right.
Kerouac. But like I
Right.
said, when you do the Jack Kerouac way, right, the Elon Musk way or
Right.
the Steve Jobs way, there are millions. There are probably like millions of people who want to be like Elon and Steve Jobs, but those other quote unquote Steve Jobs didn't make it.
Right.
The only one that in news is the one that make it, right? And so that's why people start to follow the Elon and the Steve Jobs, right? So if Jack Kerouac had made it because he found some big,
Well, he did make it. I
you
mean,
know,
he became Jack Kerouac. He's the reason why. Like, he still is one of the most famous authors in American history. You know,
therefore there were people who followed him, right?
there were.
And so
He
that's
started
it.
a whole generation. He started a whole movement. You know, the beat.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
but that's that. So go back to what I'm saying. It's a social proof, right? People
right,
use social proof as the compass, but
right.
it's a problem with that is it is not your compass. It is
Right.
not your compass. It
That,
is
that
the community's compass. Like just like we're talking about, like you go to a company, right? It is not your culture. It's not your core value. It is a company's core values,
man,
right? And so
you're so right about this. Like, and it's such a good point. I think the reason why this book is so appealing to so many people is because they're not they don't set out on their own quest, and they're like, they at least are just, they respect the quest. You know what I mean? I think they respect
mhm,
the quest, like Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or whatever. I think people just look at them and they
right.
go, I respect the quest. Like, and like, that's pretty cool. I'm not going to do it myself, but I respect the quest. Now, what we don't know is, does Elon Musk have values or purpose that he's going toward? What we don't know is Steve Jobs. Does he have a values? Does he have values? Does he have purpose? And I actually think that he does. I don't know what they were, but I think he does.
Everybody does. Everybody,
Like
it can be different. Everybody does, and like I say,
maybe. I mean,
everybody
Jack
has
Kerouac
a
did.
core value.
Right. Well, there's a lot. Well, we're talking about those guys. Like, but then think about like Jake Paul or the YouTube fight guy or whatever that
Mhm.
like, I don't know. I mean, he's questioned, but I don't know. I'm feel like I'm confident in saying that he, at this stage, I don't know that, like for every Steve Jobs, I guess. I don't want to shit on Jake Paul because I don't know him. Like, but so my point, I guess the point of what I'm getting at is this: is exciting to watch people on a quest. That's entertainment for us, right? Like, it shouldn't
Mhm.
be, a quest shouldn't be entertainment for, it can be for other people. That's fine, because I mean, hell, look at what we're doing. We're on a quest and we're producing content based off our quest, and sharing with people. If they want to be entertained by it, they can be entertained by it. But at the same time, like, what you never know is, behind the quest, is there a compass? Is there a purpose? Like, that's something that TBD, right? Remains to be determined throughout future. And does that quest continue on without that person, right? Like, because that's really the heart of the best part of a quest is does it live on past your death? Like, I don't think there's a whole lot of beatniks out there anymore. Like, it didn't live on past Jack's death, and clearly
Mhm.
Jack didn't have, his quest did not have a beautiful question at the heart of it, and values,
Right, but at
and
the end of the day,
yeah,
the evidence gives you the clue. If Jack died from alcoholic, right? He didn't like it.
right,
He
yeah, he
didn't
didn't
like
like
it.
his own quest. Yeah, I mean, for sure.
He
I mean,
didn't like it, right? And that's the point is, who cares if I die? Who cares if Steve Jobs died? Whatever. No one cares, right?
right,
The point is only you care about your life. Only I care about my life. Only Steve Jobs cares about his life.
right,
And that's the point is every one of us are uniquely made on earth, right? Even for millions of years that we've been on earth, we are the only one with this exact same set of DNAs and molecules, right? And there's only one of us. Our quest is only important to us. It Steve Jobs' quest is not important to me, and my quest is not important to Steve Jobs or Elon or anyone out there, even a homeless person.
right,
He doesn't care about my quest, right? The point is you have your own quest, and it is uniquely yours, right? So you have to find your compass, and I need to emphasize on the word "your." And
right.
and I do this again before, like it's not about this is the universal quest, and it's a your quest, right? You can say, hey, Elon is this, and he's really successful, and he has the secrets to success, and this
He
is the
doesn't.
key to success. But I'm telling you, this is the key to his house,
Right,
to his success, not to yours.
right.
So it's not the same thing. So go back and look at the fundamentals, right? What it is that you care about, what it is that you have to do. Who are you? Are you a sloth? Are you a beaver? Are you a fox? Are you a tiger? What are you,
Right.
right? Don't try to get a tiger to be a sloth and say, hey, you act very sloth-like. Mr. Tiger, I give you an A+ for adhering to
Right.
just because
Sloth
they're a bunch
behavior.
of sloth.
Right,
For
right, right.
example, let's say society, the way I think of society is like, okay, um, let's look at the majority rule, right? So right? How many tigers are there on Earth, right? How many, let's say, how many mosquitoes are there on Earth, right? Oh, mosquito is that. Therefore, mosquito, how to behave, it should be like the mosquito like. So, Mr. Tiger, you should behave like mosquitoes because mosquito is majority rule. This is what I see the world is coming to. Is everything is about follow the masses, right?
Right.
And whoever is the majority, let's say sloth has become majority, then a tiger must act like a sloth. Otherwise, you're not successful.
Right.
You don't belong. And to me, that sounds kind of silly, right?
It sounds stupid. Yeah. I mean,
It is.
I mean, like, to be fair, my quest isn't your quest either. You know, we have a shared quest together that is
Yes,
that we're
question,
yeah.
but it's slightly different. It's
But it's
not,
slightly different.
it's
Yeah.
not exactly the same.
Right. We're not doing this for the same reason.
Those things is we cross path.
Right.
There are things that value we cross path. Like you and I, we value things that we have common, right? We have in common values, but
Right.
not all values the same. For me, like for you, like you live for two, you endure, right?
Yep.
Those are high, right? Mine is going to be like the integrity thing is high. Mine is freedom and my health is very high, right?
Right.
I wouldn't rent for train. I don't care if you give me so much money to let's say for me to do something like to harm somebody and you give me $1 million for it, I would do it. I mean, I wouldn't even think about it, right? Because well, it's not that benefit is not a high value for me.
What if it, well, never. This I feel like this is a why are you yelling topic. Like, because I could think of like 500 scenarios as to why that might align actually to my values to take somebody else's life potentially. I'm not saying that is what I want to do, but I'm saying I could probably think of some scenarios that happen to align to my values where where it's like it does make sense.
I'm sure you can put a high enough price, but that price is going to be really, really high. At the end of the day, it's about how much value you put on that thing that you are aligning to, right? For example, a bottle of water in the desert, right? How much is that worth to you? Right? It's worth 100,000, right? What if I give you, let's give you 50,000? Would it worth it? So it's about the level. But if I reach the threshold, yeah, it's gonna tip. Right? If I give you $1 million, well, it's gonna tip. Right? So the thing is, the value you have is gonna be so high compared to an average normal, like in the majority concept thing where if you ask everybody how much a bottle of water was worth to them, right? They can say maybe average $10, something like that, right? So for somebody,
$10?
I'm just giving you conservative numbers, okay?
You mean doll hairs or dollars?
Whatever. You can survey everybody across the earth, right?
Across all right, fair enough. Right? Yeah, I guess in different regions.
And let's assume, and I'm giving you a very conservative estimate. Let's say it's $10. If that bottle of water aligns with my value, that thing is gonna be 10x, 100x. That means that it's gonna be at least $10,000, right? 100, like 1,000 to $10,000, and I probably even more than that.
Right.
That is called the patel, right? Remember from the Sintaleb, concept. It's a patel because when you align with that, you have that patel, and so yes, so even though it's high, but there is a value. It's so high, 100x, 1,000x, but it's so high, but there still has a value. If you say, let's say I give you $1 million, right? Sure, it's gonna tap. Right. There's nothing absolute, but that's my point. Is that the scale from a $10 to $100,000 for $1 million for a bottle of water. Well, it is doable.
I think we could make it into a why are you yelling topic for sure. You just reminded me of a topic that I wanted to write about potentially that I didn't do, and I totally forgot about it, because this is what happens when you don't write it down. Like this is exactly what happens when you don't write it down. You have a good idea.
Carry a notebook with you.
Well, it's not even that. I mean, I'm gonna go mark it down in my Evernote, but this is why I mark down, thoughts all the time, because I there's no way that I can remember some of these things because the spark like it's like once that idea sparks and that question sparks and that thought sparks, like, and you don't take it out of your head and put it somewhere to either
Right.
time with it or whatever, it's just gone. Poof, it's gone. You know.
Yes. Yes.
So you reminded me of, you just happened to spark back my idea, a thought that I had when I was
Right.
reading a brief history of time, the Stephen Hawking book, where so many things in physics, there's a lot of things that he talked about that I kept hearing the words like, let's assume, or there's an assumptions made here. And it's like, anytime that I hear the word assumption this point in time, like that's the only thing that you should focus on in the theorem. I don't even care what the rest of it is, but like, that's the thing that is 99.9% probably going to be wrong. Like, you know, because there's something to assume anything as like the default or a constant or something, like, you know, that's all that I kept thinking about when I kept hearing this, is like, you know, let's assume, you know, black hole theory does blah, 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 you know, like whatever, all these words that I had no idea what he was talking about. But every time I heard the word, let's assume this, you know, I was like, I think I'm catching on to a trend here of like, you know, whenever like Einstein would go look at something that like he didn't, that, you know, that other people assumed, like that was when breakthrough happened, you know, like whenever, like, you know, assumption equals breakthrough almost. Like I got to write this stuff down.
Yes.
You know, so you just sparked
So
it.
I think it's the question assumption leads to breakthrough.
Questioning assumption. Yeah.
Yes, you have to
yeah.
question the assumption to make the breakthrough. Because if you can assume, and we inherit the debt of our ancestors.
I love it.
We talked about this yesterday, right?
You just got me a good topic to write about in the next couple of days. So all right, thank you.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I do actually have to run to work.
Yeah.
You know. So based off of you know, any other final thoughts, I guess, for the day on you know, either
Make
the
sure
question
you carry a compass with you.
keep that
Always
compass
get a
handy.
compass. Well, and get it as soon as you can.
Right.
Get that first.
Don't even start your quest. If you're gonna
Get
cut a
that
quest, don't even start. Like just get the compass first.
But by default, you are already on a quest, whether you know it or not.
Correct. But before you actively go engage in your quest, get that compass first.
Get it as soon as you can.
Awesome. All right. Well, it's great catching up, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Sounds good.
All right.
Bye.